What's the best advice that you ever got?
The best advice I ever got came from someone who I had worked for a number of years ago, actually my second job in the business. I was at an advertising agency, McCann Erickson, and I sat in a room full of people that were substantially older than I was at the time and very much more experienced, and they were debating an issue that seemed to me to be very simply solved, and I finally raised my hand and said, you know, I think you're going about this all wrong, and laid out a plan. And after the meeting, the gentleman who was my supervisor pulled me aside and said, always have the courage of your convictions, always state what's on your mind, follow your gut, and observe what other people are doing around you. And I think that was the single best piece of advice I ever had.
Within the business world, the best advice that I was given, it's not something that you follow on a daily basis, but it was fairly early on in my career. And the then big boss asked me to go and do basically a turnaround job. And he said, I don't mind what you do, as long as you don't do what we've done before. And approaching any new job with that as a sort of a backdrop. What is it that we haven't done? What are the changes that the organization can swallow but actually put into place pretty quickly? I think really has given me an appetite for change being a great process to go through, to learn personally, and for the organization to develop out of as well.
Surround yourself with good people. And part of that is surrounding yourself with people who think differently than you, surrounding yourself with people who have different experiences than you. And it really is, in business, it's all about the team. It is not an individual sport, it's a team sport. And I think the successful people that I've met over the years in any industry, that is a common theme, that's a common denominator. It's about people that enjoy working together and get energy from one another and have a way of working together where in fact they listen and are open to new ideas.
Don't take yourself seriously, but take your responsibilities with dead seriousness. And I think that has served me well. I think the other thing that, you know, I mentioned my dad earlier, he was probably all of us with our parents, he had the uncanny ability with, you know, just a couple of little phrases. One, you know better, don't you? Or you can do better, can't you? And those, you know, from a father to a son can be maybe, you know, a sledgehammer motivation, but they do have an impact.
Best piece of business advice I got was from Steve Ross, who was my once removed predecessor as the CEO of Time Warner. And when I came into the business, Steve said, just remember, it's a small business and a long life. You're going to see all these people again. And it's true, it's a good piece of it. But what popped into my head, just when you were asking the question, I don't know why, maybe because I have her on my mind. My wife gave me a piece of advice once, which probably goes beyond the borders of business. Now, why she would give this advice to me, I'm not sure. But I had done something or said something somewhere, and she looked at me and she said, you know, people are prepared to think well of you unless you give them a reason not to.